Next topic is testing of transformers. So these are the very most expensive and important in the power system for transmitting of the power. So clearly we know the working principle and what are the applications and the classifications. Here we are just discussing on what are the methods for testing of the transformers. So if it is not suitably designed, so there is a possibility of the failure may cause the lengthy and the costly outages of the transformers. So this is a very important to be cautious while designing its insulation level so that it can able to withstand the transient of both switching and the lightning over voltages. So therefore, the testing of transformer for high voltage is very important, and we'll be discussing here. So other tests like a temperaturized test, short circuit test, and open circuit test, are we are not considering here. So, however, these can be found in the relevant standard specifications. So there are the different methods of the testing here we are going to discuss. That is individual over voltage test, partial discharge test, then impulse testing of transformers. In that we are going to detect the location of the fault. Okay, these are the different methods. So coming to that first one, individual over voltage test. So the transformer secondary is excited by high frequency AC of around 100 to 400 hertz to about twice the rated voltage. So the resulting in what will happens, there is an reduction in the core saturation, and also it will limit the charging current for the necessary of the large power transformers. So by conducting this, the insulation withstand strength also can be checked for the transformers. So then coming to the next partial discharge test. So this is done to assess the magnitude of the discharges and also the radio interference levels. So here the transformer is connected in a manner that it is similar to any other equipment, and there is a possibility of the discharge measurement are made. So here the location and the severity of the fault is can able to identify using the traveling wave theory, the technique what we discussed in the case of the cables. The same way we are going to use it for the transformer as well. So there is an incident wave which is going and come back. So there are the two different waves is reaching to the objective, means uh, the measuring devices. There is a time lapse of the difference between. Based on that, we are going to identify the location of the fault, and the waveform. That's nothing but the shape of the waveform. Based on that, we can able to understand what is the severity of the fault or the void nature of the void. So so far there is no method for the standardization mm, to assess these kind of the discharge for the measurement. So multi-terminal partial discharge measurement which is recommended compared to the other partial discharge test. So under the application of the power frequency voltage, the discharge magnitude will be uh, greater than around 10 to the power of 4 picofarad, picocoulomb are considered to be a more severe, and the transformer insulation should be such that discharge magnitude will be far below this value. So this is nothing but the partial discharge test measurement. Next one is impulse testing of the transformer. So this purpose is to determine the ability of the insulation to withstand the transient voltages due to lightning or switching surges, etc. Since the transient or the impulse of the short rise time, the voltage distribution along the winding will not be uniform because of the inductance and the shunt and mutual capacitance behavior across the winding of the transformer. Hence, the equivalent circuit of the transformer winding for the impulse, which is shown here. So you can see to that there is a ground and mutual capacitance between the terminals. So here, here the voltage distribution along the element will be uneven, and oscillations will be set up in the voltage, means there is an oscillations will set in the producing voltages much higher than the applied voltages. So in the impulse testing of the transformer is done on both full wave standard impulse and chopped wave standard impulse of the time duration 3 to 6 microsecond. So this is to prevent large over voltage being induced in the winding not under the test. So they are short circuited and connected to the ground. So this is meaning of it. The winding which is not subjected to test or short circuited and connected to ground. But the short circuit, but the short circuiting reduces the impedance of the transformer, and hence this will create a problem in adjusting the standard wave shape of the impulse impulse generators. So resulting in this will reduce the sensitivity of the detection. Then how we are going to test? This is the procedure for conducting the impulse test. This is the schematic arrangement for the impulse test, and these are the waveforms. There's nothing but the wave shapes of full wave and chopped waves are shown here, full and the chopped wave. So here the transformer is testing, you should have some essential to record the waveform of the applied voltage and the current through the winding under the test. So sometimes there is a transferred voltage in the secondary and the neutral current are also recorded. So you can see here CRO and the grounding point and low voltage winding of the transformer connected to the CRO. So here the impulse testing is conducted in the following sequence. That is, first one, applying of impulse magnitude 75 percentage of the basic impulse level of the transformer under test. One full wave 100% of BIL, basic impulse level. Then there are the two chopped wave 100%, 115 percentage of BIL, one full wave of 100% BIL, one full wave 75 percentage of the BIL. So it is very important to see that the grounding is proper and the windings not under test are suitably terminated. So these are the following sequence which you are going to make it for the testing of the impulse on the transformer. It is a quite challenging task to detect and to locate the fault during the impulse testing. These are the some of the following methods for the detection and the location of the fault. The first one is general observation. So here the fault can be located by general observations like noise in the tank or smoke, or sometimes there is a bubble in the breather. So these are the some of the general observations. Then we have second method, that is the voltage oscillogram method. The fault or the failure which is appears as a partial or complete collapse of the voltage waveforms will give us rise to a typical waveform. So based on that, studying the waveform, so we could able to see the behavior detection in the location. The sensitivity of this method is low and does not detect of the fault which occurs on less than 5% of the winding. So that's why we are not going with the voltage oscillogram method. However, this is a large magnitude of the values, then we can go for the voltage oscillogram method. We have neutral current method. So here, uh, in that, the record of the impulse current flowing through a resistive shunt element between the neutral and the ground point is used for as an detection considering as a fault. So the neutral current oscillogram, which is consisting of high frequency oscillation, a low frequency disturbance, and current rise due to the reflection from the ground end of the windings. So when there is a fault occurs, such as arcing between the turns or from turn to the ground, a train of high frequency pulses similar to that in the front of the impulse current wave are observed in the oscillogram, and the wave shape will get changes. So if the fault is local, like a partial discharges, only high frequency oscillations are observed without the change in the wave shape. So then we have transferred surge current method. So voltage across the resistive shunt connected between the low voltage winding and the grounding, which is used for the fault location. So once the location of the fault is done and the type of the fault can be observed by dismantling the winding and looking for a charged insulation or melted parts on the copper windings. So this is the successful in the case of the major fault. So local fault or partial discharges are self-healing, and this will lead to that escape in the observations.